Ladies and gentlemen, there will be days when life feels too heavy, when everything you once knew changes in the blink of an eye. I have lived through those days, days that test you, break you, shape you. But amidst all that chaos, there is one thing that remains in your control: your ability to learn, to grow, and to rise again. Education is not confined to classrooms or textbooks. It's in every heartbreak that teaches you strength. It's in every failure that teaches you humility. It's in every new day that offers you a second chance to rewrite your story. When I found myself stripped of the life I once knew, it wasn't a degree or a certificate that saved me. It was the commitment to learn about myself, about others, about the world. I learned how to walk with words when my legs gave up. I learned how to soar with my spirit when my body was broken. That's the kind of education I want you to embrace. Educate yourself every day. Learn from people, from silence, from pain, from kindness, from everything around you. Every experience carries a lesson if you're brave enough to listen. You don't have to wait for life to push you down to start learning. Start today. Read something that challenges your beliefs. Listen to someone who thinks differently. Reflect on your own journey and ask yourself, what did I learn today that I didn't know yesterday? Because the moment you stop learning, you stop living. And you, my dear, were born to live fully, fiercely, and fearlessly. Thank you. We grow up believing that education is tied to walls, chalkboards, degrees, and certificates. That once we leave school or university, the learning stops, and the rest of life is simply about applying what we've memorized. But life doesn't work that way. In fact, the most transformative lessons often arrive when there are no pens, no desks, and no teachers in sight. Life itself becomes the classroom, and every experience, joyful or painful, is a curriculum uniquely designed for us. Think about it. Some of the most powerful lessons you've learned didn't come from textbooks. They came from losing someone you loved. From starting over when everything fell apart. From failing an exam, a job interview, or even a relationship. In those moments, you weren't in a school, but you were being educated. You were learning how to survive, how to heal, how to rebuild. And no university in the world can teach you that kind of resilience. That kind of knowledge is earned, not given. Classrooms may teach you what to think, but life teaches you how to think. It teaches you how to adapt, how to empathize, how to understand the stories behind other people's eyes. A classroom can tell you the definition of kindness, but life will show you how much it means when someone holds your hand in silence during your darkest hour. That is education too, perhaps the most important kind. And when we start seeing life this way, we begin to value our own journey more deeply. We no longer see setbacks as wasted time or mistakes as failures. We see them as lessons, raw, honest, and real. When we open ourselves up to this kind of daily education, we become students of the world, not just graduates of institutions. And that mindset changes everything. There are moments in life when the weight of what you're going through feels unbearable. Times when you question, why me? Or what did I do to deserve this? But with time, and only time, you begin to realize that every hardship, no matter how painful, carries within it the seed of growth. Struggle isn't just something to survive, it's something to learn from. The most difficult chapters in your life often hold the most valuable teachings. Struggles teach you things success never could. When you fail, you learn humility. Learn humility. When you're rejected, you understand the importance of self-worth. When you're left behind, you discover your own strength to keep moving. These aren't lessons you can find in books. They are imprinted in your spirit through experience. You carry them not in your mind, but in your soul. They shape how you see the world, how you treat others, and how deeply you understand your own resilience. The beauty of struggle is that it strips away everything that is false. It shows you who truly stands by you. It teaches you what really matters. It helps you let go of ego and illusions. You begin to realize that pain, though cruel in the moment, is also a sculptor. It chisels away the parts of you that no longer serve your growth. And in its place, it reveals strength, grace, and wisdom you didn't know you had. People often say, "You are so strong." But strength isn't something you're born with. It's something you earn, and the currency is struggle. The tears you've cried, the battles you fought in silence, the days you got up when you didn't want to, that's where your strength is forged. So when life feels overwhelming, try to ask yourself, not why is this happening to me, but what is this trying to teach me? Because the lesson is always there. You just have to be willing to see it. Every morning, when you open your eyes, life gives you a quiet invitation. Will you grow today? It's not loud, it's not dramatic, but it's there. In the way you speak to yourself, in how you respond to challenges, in what you choose to carry forward and what you choose to leave behind. Growth isn't a sudden transformation. It's 1,000 small decisions made in silence, repeated every day with intention. You don't wake up one day and become wiser, kinder, or more confident. You grow into those qualities with conscious effort. It starts with something as simple as choosing to respond with patience instead of anger. As small as picking up a book instead of scrolling endlessly. As quiet as sitting with your pain instead of running from it. These choices shape you. They build habits, and habits build character. Personal growth doesn't demand perfection. It demands presence. But let's be honest, choosing growth isn't always the easiest option. Sometimes it means confronting truths you've been avoiding. It means letting go of people who no longer walk with you. It means standing up for yourself when your voice shakes. That kind of growth feels lonely. It feels uncomfortable, but it is in that discomfort that you begin to stretch beyond who you were yesterday. And every time you do, you honor the potential within you. That growth is not a destination. It's a direction. It's a direction. It's waking up each day and asking, how can I be better than I was yesterday? Not better than others, better than yourself. And that shift in mindset is where true transformation begins. You don't need to take giant leaps. Even the smallest step forward, taken every day, becomes a powerful journey over time. When life breaks you, gently or suddenly, it leaves behind invisible wounds. Wounds that others may not see, but you carry them in your thoughts, your silence, your sleepless nights. And while time helps, it is not time alone that heals. It is what you do with that time. It is how you use your pain to understand yourself better. Learning is what turns suffering into strength. When you begin to learn from your hurt instead of simply enduring it, that's when the healing quietly begins. Learning gives your pain a purpose. It turns chaos into clarity. It allows you to ask deeper questions like, what is this experience teaching me about myself? What can I take from this that will help me grow? You begin to see patterns, understand your reactions, recognize your triggers, and learn how to respond differently. You start gaining control not over what happens to you, but over how you rise from it. That's the kind of healing that transforms your story, not by erasing the pain, but by redefining it. There's a certain empowerment that comes from understanding your own journey. When you begin to study your struggles as lessons, they lose their ability to define you, and instead begin to refine you. You learn emotional language, you develop empathy, and you become more present, not just with yourself, but with others. Your healing becomes a quiet form of education that no institution can give you. It is deeply personal, deeply sacred, and deeply earned. Often we think healing means forgetting or moving on as if nothing happened. But real healing, learning-based healing, means remembering with wisdom instead of pain. It means being able to look back without being broken all over again. That kind of healing is powerful. And it only comes when we commit to understanding ourselves, our wounds, and our journey. When we choose to learn through it all, life is not selective about where it hides its lessons. Sometimes they're in books, yes, but more often they're in people you pass by without noticing, in strangers who say something that echoes in your mind for days, in children whose innocence reminds you of the beauty of simplicity. Everyone you meet carries a story, a perspective, a truth. If you're willing to listen, not just with your ears, but with your heart, you'll begin to realize that the world around you is a living, breathing classroom. There's something to learn from the kind taxi driver who greets you with a smile despite working 12 hours straight. From the elderly woman who waters her garden every morning with patience and care. From the friend who survived loss and still manages to laugh without bitterness. These people don't stand at a podium or write in academic journals, but they live with a wisdom that no degree can offer. Their resilience, their kindness, their endurance, all of it is a curriculum if you choose to see it. Even silence teaches you. Even failure teaches you. Even being alone in a quiet room with your thoughts is a form of education. Nature, too, is a teacher. The way trees let go of leaves without fear. The way the sun rises after the darkest nights. The way rivers carve paths around obstacles. These are not just poetic ideas. They are life's reminders that growth, change, and renewal are always possible. You just have to be present enough to notice them. The key is humility. The moment you begin to believe that you already know enough, you close the door to the lessons life is trying to give you. But when you walk through the world with curiosity, with open eyes and a soft heart, everything around you becomes meaningful. Every person becomes a teacher. Every situation becomes a lesson. And you begin to realize you are never walking alone. You are always surrounded by silent guides. In the rush of everyday life, we often move from one task to another, from one conversation to the next, without ever pausing to ask ourselves, what did today teach me? We live, but we don't always look back at how we lived. And yet, it is in reflection, those quiet, honest moments with ourselves, that real learning begins. You can experience 100 days, but unless you reflect on them, they remain just time passed, not growth gained. Reflection is not about reliving the pain or overthinking your actions. It is about understanding them. It is the courageous act of sitting with your truth. However uncomfortable it may be, it means asking questions like, why did I react that way? What could I have done differently? What am I proud of today? These aren't questions for judgment. They are invitations to grow with compassion. When you reflect, you hold a mirror to your soul, not to criticize, but to clarify. In a world that glorifies busyness, reflection can feel like a luxury. But it is not a luxury. It is a necessity. It helps you reconnect with your values, refine your goals, and recenter your energy. Without reflection, even the most meaningful experiences can slip away without leaving behind any wisdom. But when you pause, even for a few minutes each day, you give yourself the gift of awareness. And awareness is what transforms ordinary moments into lifelong lessons. Some of the most powerful shifts in your life will not happen because of something that happened outside, but because of something you realized within. Reflection gives you access to that inner world. It allows you to take ownership of your story, to recognize your growth, and to see how far you've come, not in comparison to anyone else, but in comparison to the person you used to be. And that quiet progress is often the most powerful kind. There is a moment in life, a quiet, personal moment, when you realize you are no longer the same person you once were. Not because someone told you to change, but because life invited you to grow, and you said yes. It's that moment of realization is not loud or showy. It's soft, yet profound. Profound. And in that moment, you feel something new rising inside you. Power. Not the kind that dominates others, but the kind that finally frees you from fear, from self-doubt, from everything that once held you back. True empowerment doesn't come from external validation. It comes from knowing who you are, what you've been through, and what you've learned along the way. Growth gives you that knowing. When you faced your struggles and turned them into strength, no one can take that away from you. You don't have to shout to be heard. Your presence speaks for itself. God self. You walk differently. Not because you're arrogant, but because you're rooted. You no longer seek approval. You seek purpose. Every step of growth, every scar, every lesson, every tear that didn't fall in vain builds the foundation of your confidence. Not the superficial kind that depends on achievements or appearance, but the deep, quiet confidence that says, I've survived, I've learned, and I'm still becoming. That is empowerment. It's when you can speak your truth, not to impress others, but because your story matters. It's when you can lift others without losing yourself, because your growth has made you generous, not guarded. Empowerment is not about being unbreakable. It's about being unafraid of breaking and rebuilding yourself as many times as it takes. When you choose to grow, you claim authorship over your own life. You become the one who decides what your pain means, how your past shapes you, and what kind of future you will build. And in that choice, again and again, you reclaim your power. Not just to exist, but to lead, to inspire, and to rise. Rise. Oh, God. So if there is one promise you make to yourself today, let it be this. Never stop learning. Not just through books, but through life itself. Through every high and every low. Through conversations, through silence. Through the questions that keep you awake at night. And the moments that take your breath away. Choose to grow. Choose to reflect. Choose to rise, again and again, with a heart that is open and a mind that is curious. Because your greatest teacher is not someone standing in front of a classroom. Your greatest teacher is life, and your greatest student is the one who dares to keep learning even when it hurts. And when you choose to educate yourself every day, you don't just become more knowledgeable. You become more compassionate, more courageous, more human. You become the kind of person this world so desperately needs. Not perfect, but aware, awake, and alive. Thank you. Thanks.